Um, Hello, good afternoon. First, we would like to say thank you to University of Michigan and especially to Rick that he allowed to participate in this project and also in this event. I present first. I am Lucas Silva and I present with Gloria Baigorrotegui. It's difficult in Spanish also. And we present politics and policy issues in waste recycling Chile. It's here. Excuse me. Hmm?
Just a little closer.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe you got a picture.
Okay, that's not there. I can see my notes.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. There? Okay. Chile from 2010 is a country member from the OECD, as Chavita told us. This organization recommends for the implementation of the ERP. After more than 10 years, we finally have the framework for waste management, extended producer responsibility, promotion. The promotion was published, the law was published in May of 2016. This law, we were working more than 10 years in that work, and it's very producer-oriented. Well, it tried to increase the collection and promotion to and recycling rate to reduce the waste and optimize the costs of the waste management and to design environment innovation. We have 6 priority products in packaging. This is an arrow, okay? And this is the packaging, oils, tires, batteries, car batteries, electric and electronic products, equipment. The order of the entrance of these products is the implementation of that law is the easiest way to try this product. That's because they are going to start with packages. That is very interesting because in packaging, I don't know how to pronounce well, but do you understand? That is the way that the e-way producers are going to enter also to the extended producer responsibility. They are already working on that, okay? They are doing a decree, a supreme decree in packaging and oils also. Then the third, they are going to work in electric and electronic products. The responsibility extended producer in Chile have one particular thing, is identified as economic instrument. And all other countries that already, in Latin America and another country that took the REP, they recognize this instrument as an environment instrument, no economic instrument. It's very interesting that Chile recognized it as economic industry. Its focused in the Ministry of the Environment. And the producers are one of the main stakeholders. They are very lighted. They are very important in this. The main stakeholders in this law are the producers. They participate in the design, in the guideline of this law. The formal recycler, we have only 6 formal recyclers in Chile. They are under the hazardous law at this moment. Haven't changed. They are going to change that. Gloria is going to talk more about this. the consumer, supposedly, they have two responsibility or something like that. And the informal recyclers. The informal recycler is the only law in Latin America that include the informal recycle in the formal law. Mm-hmm. In order to be formal, they have to register in the registration, emission, and transfer polluting. This is an instrument, it's an information system that they have to, they should have a certification in order to be included in this instrument, in this information system. That is the information system. Is one of the main systems they have the law. They have to certify. Okay, just have one more. And this is the channel where the informal system is going to be included through this instrument. Do you want to continue? For the certification, they have there is some competitions. There is a competition, the certification for labor competency. But it had been made more for solid waste. It haven't been thinking in the waste. One of the major actors that made the possibility to participate in the law was the National Movement of Recyclers. They were working from 2007. But, and they are working with all the kind of waste. So e-waste, they have to be prepared in order to work in this kind of waste, okay?
Thank you, Uka. Good afternoon. Uka is one of the persons that know more on e-waste in Chile. He works really early in this theme. And thank you to give me this, please. Yeah, and this is important that this is social activism and the ground-based activism from the, we can say in sociology as a reclaim, a demand for the recognition as a collective in the society, you know. And they are so very proud with this inclusion in the regulatory system, but then another things that they think with the law something is lost. And in this way, the loss with the entrance on the system, and specifically with the e-waste, that they lost the access with the e-waste. No? You know, there's obviously all the activities such as dismantling, carnivalizing, and repairing is outside the certification in the law. Yeah, and this is an income that is reducing for the families. And another way. This is a big challenge to think about in the valorization, because the law is focused on valorization of e-waste. And then has Jesse speak about the valorization, how to make the things in more values. Well, there are a lot of challenge to think in the informal waste, how to think in terms of valorization of these processes in an informal way. This is it's an incredible big challenge. And another way that I look to put in the context why this social movement appears so highly in the public sphere in Chile was helped by another international network, maybe more related to Violeta. Violeta speaks a little bit before. This is a network more in the United Nations frame. Yeah, I thought in some part the REP law is OECD and United Nations international frames all the time in some way speaking or talking about different things or different values. I think in Chile, the United Nations with alliance with social responsibility companies like Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, and something ONGs, and in some way in Chile they made some and contingencies in the public policy. They made alliance. It's not an alliance that went against the green taxes, yeah? And green taxes was so maybe a dangerous thing for the big companies, and said, yeah, maybe these groups, the grassroots groups, is a good alliance to say, no, I don't want to these taxes, we prefer the REP law. And the inclusions frame, yeah, the inclusion recycling frame. And this is idea of inclusion recycling frame comes from this international labor organizations and all this frame and international levels. Now Chile, as Uka said, is and already designing processes on the law. Then there are a lot of things that maybe 10 years ago we speak about the need to put these things in the public policy. But now there are many things in explicit way, the law, first the law, the regulations, and after that the national policy is super interesting thing. These things in Latin America, the national policy comes after this law that come from another international pressures. This is really interesting, and we can think in maybe it's an interesting moment or years to press, how to press different things about the health and the inclusion things, no? Pending issues, a study, of risk of health, environmental management by category, and for us it's super important the participatory control from the e-waste recyclers to ensure the quality of work. Here it's important to not only quantity, faster and so on, and the quality of the work of these people too. And the opportunity to think to mobilize health and inclusive labor within this inclusive notion or frame that I talked about before. And our national regulatory discussions, maybe in the regions too. And I would like to highlight in our work with Denise and Daniela about the woman leaderships in this kind of themes in the everyday practices for the recyclers. We hear many aspects of the woman said, yeah, I said you these things as we have to protect. And the protection is not only for women, but there are some gender issues that is important to take into account in our researches. And then finally, the open questions, super fast. We think about more in maybe in our countries it's usually to see the informal practices. And we were thinking about it, which kind of new pressures or new phenomena can emerge when this kind of practices continue in a status quo, yeah? The regulatory frames are after that, usually after some damage or some problems, and what happened with this? What happened with these practices continuing this status quo? Which new effects, new overflows affecting the norm or in the health of this community and so on? Another thing is the same thing as to configure inclusive regulations. And the third one, super fast, for us was super important to recognize the repair sector, the repair, reusing is in these isolated places, and how the people care for these things, and how we can strengthen this circular economy with the repairing sector. And there are some link between formal and informal in general. And at the end, how the producer, the formal producer, when we have only 5 or 6 formal producer, can contact more or have more links with the informal sector. Well, this is a big question too. That's all, and thank you very much.
Thank you both.